Jim, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for letting us be in your space. Um, yeah, man. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do this with you is because after knowing you for years now, like I feel like every time I talk to you, it's like stepping into a book that I get to participate in. And I think Seattle has a few greats. I think Ian Davis is like the master of light in Seattle.
He's got
Um,
it down.
he's got it down. I really mean that.
I mean, really got it down.
It's tight. I think you are Seattle's great storyteller. I think the activity in your paintings is like relatively simple, not overly complex, not too distracting. I feel like they're very to the point, and what I am curious about is like where your love of storytelling comes from.
My love of storytelling. I don't know, that's kind of an interesting way to open this up because essentially what you're doing is you're dragging me back to my childhood.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean,
yeah,
way back into my
yeah.
childhood. Army brat, kid, traveling everywhere. Okay,
Where were you born?
I was born in Tacoma, lived there
Oh,
for 6 weeks,
okay,
and was on the road.
okay.
And my dad was in the military, and so the entire family was in the military. And we went from there to California. And from California, we went to Texas. And I mean, just all over the place. And
Yeah.
and when I was born was after my sister, and they'd lived in Japan for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
right after the war. And so,
Wow.
it's just da 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 da. Da. Essentially, what that builds is it's like a book in reference because you're always opening and closing your life
Mm-hmm.
because your friends don't necessarily move with you. Almost
Yeah.
never do they move with you.
This
So
adaptation.
you're always initiating a new dialogue, a new potential friendship, a new experience. And in and of itself, that is the natural source of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's episodic.
Yeah.
And so essentially that's where it came from. And a lot of people will sit in relatively one or two places their whole life, and that becomes their story. It's a
Mm-hmm.
volume that becomes their story. I did not have the benefit of that experience. My life was stories involving myself with different people,
Mm-hmm.
observing different things,
Yeah.
and kind of it was like the Whitman sampler of life.
Yeah.
Always kind of opening and closing and opening and closing. Some
Where
good, some bad.
where do you said you weren't in Tacoma for very long.
Nope.
Where do you remember first experiencing like consciousness, like as a kid?
But consciousness as a kid,
Let's say that because I was born in Southern California, but moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
that would be in Texas,
Okay, what part?
El Paso.
Oh, all right. Nice. What was that like?
That was crazy wild. I
Yeah.
mean, El Paso back in that day. Okay, um, I mean, right across the border, you're into like some
Mhm.
crazy ass Mexican shit. And I got taken there with
Yeah.
my father. They would go down drinking a lot of times.
Hmm.
All the officers would get together. I was always brought along.
Yeah.
And I was usually the butt of a lot of the jokes, but my experiences were kind of crazy. And, that's where I ate my first jalapeno, and I was told it was a dill pickle.
Okay.
All right,
Playing tricks on
shit
you.
like that. That's where I ended up in the first time in a backseat of a convertible in the middle of a buffalo herd.
Wow. What
That's
was
the
that
first
like?
time. Fucking surreal.
Yeah.
Surreal. It was mating season, which made it even more surreal and
Okay.
dangerous. And we're in the back seat of a Oldsmobile convertible, a
Mm.
pink one, in the middle of a fucking herd of these things because we made the wrong turn. We were going to a picnic and made the wrong turn.
Do you think that made a lasting impact on you?
That would be a question for my therapist. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Wow. What an experience. I've heard it's a pretty surreal experience. You feel the ground rumbling.
It is. The whole desert thing is a surreal experience. That's why I was drawn back there
Mm.
several times. It's almost as if you're not on the planet Earth, but you are in certain respects
Yeah.
because you got oxygen and all these other things. But it's fueled by these visuals and tactiles that you're not accustomed to
Mm-hmm.
or not regular. It's not what you bump into in the
Yeah.
grocery store. It's not what you see in commuter traffic or anything like that. You're seeing things that own the land and are of the land
Yeah.
that don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
They really, really do not give a fuck about you. And that is just such an amazing, clear, very clear expression to
Mm.
observe as an artist, you know.
Yeah.
Um, the desert was, the desert is just that.
The the thing that my brain kind of goes to with you mentioning that is I'm almost really envious of people that were born before the internet was, available to everybody because I've taken my social media breaks, and every time I do, I find myself becoming more enamored by life and actually experiencing the story that is my life, even in the mundane ways. I feel like the value of everything kind of goes up. The experiences, even the simple ones, are so, so, so much more cherished. And because I'm not being consumed by what other people are outputting, what I am experiencing is just so sincere and genuine and worth experiencing versus having this mindset of, oh gosh, I should be doing more, or what I'm doing is not enough. So to experience something like that before cell phones and having that, like that seems like such a powerful thing. Did you make art whenever you were a kid living in Texas?
Yeah, I was always messing around with art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, I'm a dyslexic,
So
okay?
close.
And being a dyslexic, you find different ways to sort of record things, do things, express things, which are a little bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And so I was continuously visually stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was visually stimulated in ways that I wanted to say things that I couldn't necessarily say
Yeah.
in writing, um, at least coherently.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a great deal of time doing some sort of self training to fake my way through the norm part.
Yeah.
But I was always fucking fascinated with the visual, artistic parts. And I was gifted when I was really young. How old was I? I was in the third grade. I was given a collection of European carnival art, which was portraits of carnies.
Okay.
Okay, done by European artists, so it was very, very surreal.
Mm.
I mean, just fucking very surreal.
Yeah.
And that was like, holy shit. I mean, that was that moment where you go, God damn, this stuff really has a lot to
Right.
say.
Like this exists.
This is the stuff you dream about. This is stuff you get up in the morning and you'll take another look at. It wasn't something that you just like experience and move on.
Yeah. Versus now where there is just so much. Like I remember first starting to listen to podcasts and you would just hear something and go, oh, my mind is blown. Like I heard on a Neil deGrasse Tyson one, he said that light travels, I believe, 30% slower when it goes through diamonds. And I went,
Oh,
wow.
30%, that's a number.
Like, because they're so dense. And then, whew, and now my brain is kind of adapted to this almost like this profound information. And now it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And I'm still moving on. It's like I'm not having to discover a lot of these things. The discovery has been done, and now it's just mainlined into my brain, and I'm trying to slowly push all that stuff away to get back to more of a genuine self-discovery.
Well, the kind of irony of it all, but one of the things which is going on currently is the degradation of value.
Hmm.
Value used to be in line with experience.
Yeah.
You would have an experience and you would gain value from it. And the value then encouraged maybe you to change things or do things differently or seek out things. It was something that would affect you in a way relatively indescribable, but value had impact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now with recording devices and phones and this, that, and the other, value has been replaced by an experience, a fleeting experience.
Yeah.
And the value part of it is kind of very debatable
Mm.
because there's something new at the door. I've got to go.
Oh, that's such a great way to put it. There's something new at the door. Like, I gotta go. I gotta go see what that
Yeah.
is. Because I'm desensitized to this and I'm not like cherishing
Well,
this
and
thing.
not utilizing it,
Yeah.
not cherishing it, not giving it a moment.
Or like, I can't remember what it's called, but in Japan, there's a type of bookstore where they will only sell you one book a day, so that you don't end up with an overabundance of books. And it kind of takes me back. I have a ton of books, a ton that I haven't read, a lot that I have read, but it reminds me of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Have you seen that yet?
Hmm.
And I watched it the first time, and I really thought the first half was beautiful, and then the second half, I went it's a little slower, not bad, but a little slower, and then I realized I don't know the story of the book of Frankenstein. And when he goes to the farm and then is, kind of watching the family and then they leave and he goes and talks to the grandfather of the group and he has learned how to speak and he's read through all of their books and he's like, "Are there more books in the world?" And I went, "Wow." Like that was so beautiful and so eye-opening to like the magic of
And of value.
yes, absolutely.
Wink.
A massive amount of value
Yeah.
to having that. And it's like, oh, I want to expand and broaden my horizons to seek out more things like this. Like I think there's no wonder so many people are depressed and so many people are sad. I also think art in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of getting to a point of the quality of things going up, but I think for a while kind of dropping down because of people wanting to go, oh, I need to, and I'm definitely guilty of it, where I'm like, oh, I feel pressure to post things because everyone's watching. Like I wish I could go back to, I think the late mid 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of those artists had this wonderful experience of their work not being seen unless you come by the studio,
Hmm?
you know?
It's true.
And I mean, so many heavy hitters were coming out um, of that era. But, yeah,
Well, and then a lot of the art post that period became very escapist.
yeah,
I mean, that's when lots of people were making images of ducks and, just, weird stuff
yeah,
and things like. And it was, in essence, at the end of the day, it was basically escapism. And then you step back from that is why are you promoting escapism? And then you fill in all those blanks.
hmm,
Okay. And in and of itself, it really wasn't an attempt to elevate expression.
yeah.
It was an attempt to satisfy the need. Big
Mm.
difference. Big difference.
What exactly do you mean by escapism? Could you explain that a little more?
Yeah. Escapism in art is offering up imagery or artistic experiences which take you to a place that is satisfying.
Mm, okay. Yeah. All right.
Not necessarily intellectual, not necessarily emotional, not necessarily, but just
Ah,
satisfying.
that feels nice to look at.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
okay with that.
yeah.
It's not challenging me,
Yeah.
you know. And the fact of the matter is life is challenging.
Hmm.
And to represent those challenges is art. I mean, art's a
Yeah.
fucking mirror. The best art is a fucking mirror. It takes things that we don't necessarily understand but are experiencing and it slows them down.
Yeah.
and gives you an opportunity to reflect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting because so many of us live like the same kind of quality of like kings and queens of hundreds of years ago live. I'm wondering, are there any uh, like difficult things that you intentionally put upon yourself in your life and in your practice? Me, for example, exercising is really important to me. I love rock climbing because it's incredibly hard and super humbling. My first shower of the day is a cold shower and it sucks and I fucking hate it, but I feel like it makes me stronger, more disciplined, and more motivated. Do you have anything like that? That or are you just hedonist?
Uh, so I'm given two options here. Let me think. Dalton, how should I answer this? Drawing our cinematographer into the conversation. We all have routines,
Mm,
and routines are established out of, and you fill in the blanks. Okay, I like something that gives me a burst and wakes me up. I like something that just allows me to do fill in the blank, and then I get fill in the blank.
yeah.
Okay, so essentially, yeah, we all have that shit.
Mm,
You know, as I've gotten older, and you'll see this too, they shift, they change, and sometimes regrettably so. I used to be a lot more physical than I am today.
yeah.
Um, and I've encountered a lot of things in my life. I've probably almost died about 10 times,
Yeah.
maybe more. I know 10 I know of.
Yeah.
You know, and so those all take a toll, in one way or another. And so as you as you move ahead, what happens is you become a lot more centered and focused. And
Mm,
unfortunately, you tend to rub out things that before you might have gotten a kick out of, or might have done a lot of good for you, even.
yeah.
And you tend to rub them out. And it's almost without thought
Yeah.
because you're focused on other things. And one of the things that I'm focused on right now is I want my work to be, and I'm calling this, and I'm not trying to do it with ego or anything like that. I want my work to be legacy work. I want it to
Mm,
be really fucking as good as I can get it.
yeah.
And I'm not comparing it to anybody else. I'm just as good as I can fucking get it.
Yeah.
And so from when I roll out to when I roll back in, that's pretty much my fucking focus.
Yeah.
Fortunately, my work, the way I do my work, keeps me fucking moving around, keeps me on my feet. I don't sit here at the desk except when I'm maybe having lunch,
Yeah.
playing with a fucking dog for a minute. But I'm pacing this whole thing. I'm out on the tracks. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's how I keep myself active, but I don't have the benefit of allotting time for other things that I used to allot time for. I'm focused on the fucking legacy work.
Speaking of out on the tracks, I am really curious what your relationship with the train tracks behind your studio are because I feel like it's a nice idea, but if I had them behind mine, I don't think I would really go and spend time with them. Like I lived in South Carolina for the summer, a 5-minute walk from the beach. I went down a couple of times. What keeps you going back out to the tracks?
The tracks is a gallery.
Mm,
It is the most interesting gallery I have regular access to.
yeah.
Okay, it's constantly being changed. It's fucking anonymous for the most part.
It's almost like a river. The
It is.
change.
It is, and it has a lot of surprise and mystery to it. There's not a time I don't go out there that I don't see something that hammers me.
Hmm.
Okay, it could be just a line or a shade or way a palette has been picked,
Yeah.
or the way a certain thing has been developed. It is just like fucking this. It's swimming in this huge sketchbook of color. It is fucking surreal, and it's right behind here. And so, if I need a break, if I need some air, and the dog needs to go out and take a
Yeah.
shit, boom, that's where I go. Now, what happened is one of those days I was trotting along, and it occurred to me, you know, I, I should I like fucking throw down?
Hmm.
And if I throw down, what should I do? Because I want it to be something of me. I don't want to try and,
Yeah.
oh, I can do a letter like that, or, that's kind of cute, or whatever. I wanted it to be something that was genuine, and I wanted it to be something that would hold a presence for a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was doing the cave paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And to do the cave paintings, I got myself into this whole stenciling thing. I was cutting stencils and doing different things with stencils, and I was really enjoying the whole stencil thing. Uh, and developing sort of some conceptual, but I hadn't gotten into those yet.
Yeah.
I was still kind of laying out a lot of stuff on paper and just fucking around and just trying to get something that felt like it could go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it occurred to me, well, fucking practice on the wall.
Yeah.
And so I went out there, and there was this one huge black and white graffiti piece that was really just a lot of negative and positive, but didn't really have much of a statement to it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you can do on the wall, you can paint it anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Respect is from the artist to the other artist, and that's the context. There's no rules.
Hmm.
People go in and wipe shit out all the time.
Yeah.
I selected that portion to throw down some stuff, and so I did some stencils and actually got a lot of feedback on it. I was surprised, and it was pretty good feedback, and I was like, fuck, that's wild. And then the artist who I painted over came in and took out whoosh, the whole thing with the exception of one stencil
Hmm.
that was down at the bottom
Yeah.
and actually signed.
Okay.
And he left that.
All right.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. That shows a reference to both respect
Mm-hmm.
for himself and respect for me. And so I wanted to do another piece, and an office chair had been thrown out there that was broken. One of those big sort of like fake leather black ones and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, there is not a single piece of graffiti sculpture out here. This is something I can fucking do that's original.
Cool.
So I took on the chair, and I painted the whole fucking chair,
Mm-hmm.
and it has not been touched.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that. Is the
and it has a
wall
red shoe in front of it that I painted.
I love that as the wall sort of serves as this like place of communication and cohesion,
Very much so.
and like almost feels like a little bit of a battlefield that you can occupy. And yeah, how can you like explore the sort of dynamic relationship of the narrative of image, story, shape, and like what will be left behind.
It is all of that and a little bit more too. There's a in and of itself, those artists have a community,
Mm-hmm.
and I've met a few of them. My first year here, I met quite a few of them. In fact, a bunch of them used to come in here for water. It was a real hot summer,
Yeah.
so I'd have them in for water and kind of refresh and then head back out. But it's an artistic community,
Mm.
and it's got all the vitality of an artistic community, and it's totally fucking renegade.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to this one guy, Fish. He he was he was he was fucking incredible. He spent every spare dime he had buying paint.
Mm.
Okay, he had a wife who wouldn't speak to him. He had a kid who loved him, and he lived in Portland and came up here to do his work.
Mm.
And it was like, and he just did odd jobs, and that was his fucking life. And nicest fucking person you've ever met, and genuinely loved art. And it was like it was like drawing the curtains and seeing a whole different sort of world of imagery and what brought it forward.
Yeah.
And it was like it was cool as shit.
One thing I really love about what you do as well is there was a book, maybe you probably heard of it, the Tao Te Ching,
Mhm.
and it said the purest forms of art are oftentimes the most peculiar. And I started thinking about
That's
that,
true.
and then I bought a book of Hugh Hayden's work. I can show it to you later, but he uses materials that are local or in certain parts of Texas, say like invasive plants that are in Texas, and he'll make sculptures out of them. And I love when artists make work that comes from their environment, the railroad track, because I know you use it in a lot
All the
of your
time.
sculptures, and I absolutely love that. Like, there's just such a genuine thing that I experience whenever I look at those sculptures. And I know you're always back there, so I'm super curious. And there was a piece out in the hallway that I saw where I was like, I really like this. Um, so how long were you in Texas for?
Well, at different points in time, I've been in Texas.
Okay.
Okay, when I was young, I was here with my father, my mother,
Yeah.
the whole family thing, and we did El Paso, and then I came back to Texas when I got married for the first time
Okay.
and lived in Dallas
Hmm.
and did the whole Dallas thing, which
Yeah.
was a real trip.
How old were you?
At that point in
Yeah.
time, let's see, how old was I? I was 22 when I came back here the second time. Yeah. And the original period I was here when I was in the kindergarten, first grade kind of world,
Okay.
and then moved from Texas to Huntsville, Alabama, which was a trip. I
Yeah.
remember those days too. I mean, Alabama compared to Texas was like a different country.
Were you painting at this time?
No,
Mm. Okay.
no, I'd fuck around and I'd do stuff, but it was just fucking around.
Kind of leave it.
Yeah, just fucking around. Really didn't get to pushing things that I would consider artistic endeavors for me until I was in college. Okay.
Okay. Where'd you go to college?
Well, a bunch of different places, but
Okay.
the first effort was UVA in Virginia, and I went there basically for 4 years and got thrown out with one semester because I got in a fight with
Oh, yeah.
with a professor, and it went all the way up, and I finally
With
told
the professor?
yeah,
Why?
and then because he was wrong.
Okay.
It's simple.
Sure.
And I maintained that all the way to the point where they said, "This is ridiculous." And I said, "You're fucking ridiculous." And I left, moved to Europe, became a drug dealer.
What part of Europe did you move to?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Sounds like the place to deal drugs.
Oh, it was a great place. And the art there was fabulous.
I bet.
And I have ancestors from there because
Yeah.
I'm sort of like a Dutch heritage. And there's a bunch of Maris painters from back in the day and shit like that. It was kind of interesting.
Why? Yeah, I'm assuming that had some sort of impact on you pursuing art.
Or did. Very much so. In fact, I was doing really stupid, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got briefly involved with KLM, which airline company,
Oh, okay.
and it was funny because this is the hippie era and stuff like that, and KLM was trying to be progressive and they wanted ideas to get young people traveling and stuff like that.
Mm.
So my my idea was, well, you gotta make fucking lollipops that have wrappers on them that say shit.
Yeah.
I said, and look like shit. I said, it was like, do something that is appealing. Don't think in terms of advertising. Think in terms of giving somebody something that they'll have fun with.
Yeah.
And
Maybe a little story.
use the draw. It's like drugs, okay? They're fun. That's what draws people in.
Yeah.
So, I was doing shit like that. And this guy who paid my way over, his street name was Fuzzy.
If I ever have a street name, I'm
Yeah,
going for Fuzzy.
it's Fuzzy. Fuzzy and I had a house. We lived in Amsterdam. He was a major hash guy. I helped him out with his hash and sent a hash back to the United States in little photo album things that never got inspected. We just flatten this shit out and send it back.
This is how the sausage is made.
And that worked until it didn't work.
Okay.
And then we split.
Yeah.
I came back to the States and started to get progressively more and more involved with the arts. At first, I was more involved with photography than anything. And I came back and I needed a job. And so because I had actually studied a little bit of COBOL computer language back in the day, way back in the day. I got this job working for the government because they didn't have anybody who knew how to even turn on a computer.
Yeah.
And they had this project that was very reliant on computers. And it was an experimental thing with the government. They wanted to record national disasters, get the information in, and then be able to respond to these national disasters. And they figured all this data needed to be processed somehow. So we need a bunch of people out in the field who can use the IBM 1000, which was about half the size of this desk and considered portable.
Wow.
Had a modem.
Wow.
Phone modem in it. And so we'd go off and we'd do our work in about an hour, and we'd have the rest of the day to ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And nobody came near us or touched us because they're all terrified of computers. We'd go in these government offices and people would avoid us.
Why do you think they were terrified of them?
Something new, something different, something they didn't know how to use.
Mm.
And it had a different language. It was all the things that typically terrify people. It's like, just think about how people are terrified of people from other countries that speak different languages. Like right now.
It's like, oh, this is really different. Or maybe also this, in a sense of like, this thing is alive in a different way.
Well, and what is it capable of?
Yeah.
And so and it was funny as shit too, because our, you had basically you had a portable computer that ran through a mainframe. And so you had these mainframes throughout the country. You know where our mainframe was? It was in the least used mainframe, which was in the White House.
Okay.
Nobody was using it.
Yeah.
So they gave that one to us to use. And we had these guys in California who were more heavily involved with computers than we were. And we used to meet with them and stuff like that. We got to talk to them. And they were so full of ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
They were great. And so one of the things, there was a lot of things that we did. There was a lot of drug dealing going on the computer in the sense. But one of the coolest things that came up during that process was the ability to do posts daily that everybody, all the teams, and there was like 15 teams, could share it. So this one team out of New York was writing a pornographic novel, 1 page a day. Okay, 1 page a day would pop up.
Yeah, good use of time.
Great use of time. It was. And so and everybody had something a little bit different that was going on. I was with this guy, Kevin Kessler, who went on to become a pretty good lawyer. And he and I were heavily invested into just absurdities because we were doing a lot of acid. So we would push the envelope off in really strange directions, and people appreciated it, but it was really just absurdities. And and they gave us a credit card, which was like trains, planes, and automobiles, which we could use anywhere. And it was like, this is like 20-year-olds with credit card, computer, only have to work 1 hour a day. It was like
recipe for an interesting thing.
Disaster. Well, eventually what happened was somebody left their fucking password on their desk. Some guy on the East Coast, and his manager did a printout. And this was back in the days when the paper was and you get these stacks. And everybody got called back to Charlottesville. We got hired. And we're all sitting in this room. All these teams are in this room, and nobody knows what the fuck's going on. But everybody knows something's going on because we were told to immediately come back to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And these two guys, I swear it was like a fucking movie. These two guys in black suits and black skinny ties walk in. One of them's carrying this huge stack of paper, sets it on a desk, steps back from it. And the conversation began with, "You have two choices." And and here's the deal. Nixon was tanking, okay? They didn't want any more scandals. No more scandals, Nixon tanking. So here are your two choices. One, you can quit right now and you will be paid. And we didn't have to pay taxes.
Oh, okay.
That was part of the deal. Second choice is you will be transferred to a different government agency and your whole protocols will be changed. So pick one, tell us right now what you want. And so it was like I pulled the cord,
Yeah,
Kevin pulled the
quick.
cord, we were out of there. They gave us a bunch of money, and we went down to Virginia Beach and just started having fun.
Yeah. Where did you go to after that?
After Virginia Beach,
Yeah.
uh, Virginia Beach was interesting because I was a bartender there. Kevin and I were both bartenders, which was a great job to have at the
You a
beach.
bartender at a beach sounds still a good time.
Yeah, with an icon.
Yeah.
So it was a great time. That went on and on and on until I met this woman named Kathy, who was just hot as shit. And uh, we decided to get married. And it was like we were both kind of sick of the beach. Let's do something different. And so, Dallas, Texas.
Mm,
Landed there with no job in a Jeep with, this new life partner.
yeah.
Lasted until she cheated.
Yeah. You know.
That shit happens.
Yeah.
But so they got me down to Texas. And what was cool about that is my best friend there was a guy named Cal Bachbrader. Fucking really good oil painter,
Mm,
portrait painter. I mean, the guy was just fucking off the charts good, ex-Marine, homicidal, really messed up guy, but we liked
Great
each
art.
other.
Great art. We got along.
Yeah. And so that's how I immersed more heavily into uh, better and better and better art.
Okay.
Because we would be going to museums all the fucking time. We'd be going
Yeah.
to shows all the fucking time. All this stuff was just like. And then finally I had to, that marriage dissolved and I had to get the fuck out of Dallas. I was done with Dallas and that's what got me up to Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I moved to an Indian reservation. Squamish.
Okay.
Back in the
Wow.
day.
I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And that was crazy.
Yeah. What brought you to Marfa, Texas?
Marfa, Texas.
Yes.
I was offered a job there out of the
Okay.
blue. Okay, I was in charge of the Art Center Museum, whatever, down at Newport in Oregon,
Okay.
and which was a great gig. I mean, it was like got to put on shows, lots of artists, really good artists were circulating through there. I had a regular paycheck, and we lived on the beach. I mean, it was like, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Janet got pregnant. It didn't have health insurance, and so we were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do?"
Yeah. Gotta have the health insurance.
It was so, well, she had trouble with pregnancies, and so it was like, this was a blinking red light, trying to figure it out. Well, this friend of mine who I had met, who was a really good artist from North Texas, and who had come through Oregon, and we had hung out for a long time together. Uh, Liked my work, liked how I did sort of organizational things, and liked how I was working with a lot of sort of like populations of artists that nobody would work with.
Mm-hmm.
So palsy, I did a workshop for blind artists.
Wow.
And so she was very appreciative of the fact that I would kind of tiptoe into these fucking things and see what happens.
Yeah.
And a lot of them worked out. And so she made a recommendation to this place that was in Fort Davis, which was 30 miles from Marfa.
Okay.
Where they had an internment for young felons ages 16 to 22,
Okay.
23, something like that.
Yeah.
Co-ed facility, which was a bad idea, but it was. And they needed, they decided they wanted to have an art department to bridge from the educational levels, these basically fifth grade educational levels, to bridge them into mainstream education in public schools. And the person who designed the program was convinced that since 85% of them are right brainers, do it with art.
Mm.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Lift them up.
So they hired me to establish the department.
Yeah.
And kind of get it rolling, which was actually a good idea, have an artist sort of in charge of developing it. So I did, and it was like fucking outrageous. We did a show at the Kimball once. I mean, it was like,
That's super awesome. How could you not?
I mean, yeah, how could you not? And you know what was the coolest part is I was a facilitator. They called me an art educator, so I was a fucking facilitator. These fucking kids were talented.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fucking really talented.
Hmm.
And I mean, fucked up. I mean, their stories. I could tell
Yeah.
you their stories, and you would go, "What?"
Yeah.
They're unbelievably bad, unbelievably bad stories.
There seems to be, I think, that sort of connection with having like trauma. I think maybe it's you have something that you want to express, but I think there can be magic on the other side of that, you
Well,
know?
it gives an opportunity for release.
Yeah. Yeah, a release.
And you've been in confinement and you've been shadowed by crazy ass adults and parents that
Mhm.
are just like fucked up in the head and, you know, gangs and this, that, and the other. And it gives you a release and relief
Yeah.
from that shit.
You can be seen.
Yeah. And you can do something that you feel good about.
Yeah.
You know, so it was that world, and I did it for 5 years, and it was weird
Oh
because when I
wow.
went there, I was like, okay, I'm putting myself on a nickel here. This is 5 years, and I actually got to get my staff from the University of Texas, were my interns that would come and help out, and it was great. And I told them, you get to work here for 1 year, then you have to take a year off. You can't work here for 2 years in a row, and so that
Yeah.
was the deal because, I mean, people would they would get too immersed in the stories
Yeah.
and then become too close to the students, and that fucks things up.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have you got to have a distance there
Yeah.
in order to be objective and do your job,
Yeah.
and you lose that, and you've lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that happen.
Yeah.
There was educators that were working with the school part that got close to students, and you know, it was just like
Yeah.
fucked.
There was I believe a gentleman, a designer that you worked, I think, with down there. He designed furniture. He was an artist.
Donald Judd, yeah, he was an artist.
I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that because you said he had a really interesting facility. It sounded pretty surreal the way that you had
Well,
described it to
this
me.
was it was an interesting point in time because Donald Judd, I interacted majorly with a lot of his family.
Mm,
He had he had two kids and a wife, and he had he basically bought every available empty building in Marfa and created an art experience in that town because he was a collector.
okay.
You know, and so a lot of artists would come into Marfa back
Yeah.
in the day, and it was like you had ranchers, you had a lot of illegals, you had a network of artists, and that was it.
Mm,
And you were out in the middle of nowhere, and so everybody just kind of like worked together.
yeah.
Everybody got to know each other. There was no levels of society. It
That's
was
nice.
basically the ranchers got that they needed I mean, they would leave food out in their ranches out in the middle of nowhere for people that were crossing over.
Oh wow.
I mean, so they wouldn't die out there. They'd do water and food,
It's
you know?
community.
Yeah. The artists would bump into people all the time, and that was like, yeah, you invite them over for dinner. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so it was that kind of world, and it was really kind of surreal. And it was out on a high desert, 5,000 feet up in the middle of nowhere. It was 2 hours to the nearest hospital.
Wow. Wow.
That was a hospital.
Like an
They
actual
had some,
full
yeah, they had some
facility.
care facilities and stuff like that. But like when our daughter was born, I drove behind 100 miles an hour behind an ambulance all the way up to fucking Waco
Yeah.
to have
Oh
that trip,
wow.
you know, from Marfa. And it was
Hmm.
just like with my son next to me, and we were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So what
Fingers
the
crossed we
fuck?
make it.
You know, so I mean, it was that kind of world, but it was, I mean, in and of itself, it was so surreal. And the artists that I met were just like, and got Ilya Kabakov, for example, this Russian who's like fucking fantastic, does this assemblage work
Hmm.
with stuff.
Yeah.
he was given whole buildings to do an installation, whole
Yeah.
fucking building.
Wow.
So you walk into this thing, and every square inch of it has got something going on that relates, and he lets the weather beat it to shit.
I like that.
So it's alive.
It's like acceptance.
It's
and
alive. It's
coming
dying.
and
It's
everything.
living. It's moving on. It's
Mhm.
like, and so there was work like that, which was really, really, to me, exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
there was Dan Flavin, he was there a bunch, and so, and things like, and so there was a lot of people that were top shelf, well known. I mean, Donald Judd, of course, he had some astounding installations there, but I wasn't. His work didn't encourage me in my work. I
Mhm.
liked his work because it was incredibly well done.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, it was really solid. It was
Yeah.
really good, but it didn't encourage me to do work.
It was like primarily or a lot of furniture, right?
No, there were stainless steel blocks that were 3 by
Oh,
3.
really?
Yeah, his paintings, his wall pieces.
But he did do furniture.
He did
Yeah.
do furniture, and there was some issues with furniture.
He had a library too, right, Jim?
He did have a library, and
tell
I
me
spent
about the
some time in
library.
the library because I had a friend who did a lot of work with the Judd Foundation, so he had access to all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used to go over. There was this one compound in the city, and we used to go over there and swim. There was a lap pool, so we'd go over and get drunk and high and cook and hang out in the pool, practice shooting Glocks underwater. The normal stuff.
Texas.
Texas, exactly, Texas. Things I could tell you about guns. Um, and so one time I was sitting there and I was with this woman who did a lot of conditioning and repair work to the art that he had collected and his own work. And we were talking about the furniture,
Mm-hmm.
and which was interesting. I mean, it was all very simple. If you know the furniture, it's all very plank, simple, but has got a degree of elegance to it in its simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was kind of interesting. And so we were talking about it. And then I was given a heads up by this woman. She says, "Oh, I got a book for you to see." I said, "Great." And she went and grabbed the book.
I like books.
I've got a copy of the book. And it was this designer out of New York, this woodcrafting designer guy
Yeah.
who had put together all this very simple, relatively elegant wood
Mm-hmm.
furniture that very much resembled the Judd work, which was built 3 years after this book.
Interesting. Interesting. Very
What a
closely resembled.
coincidence! What a fucking coincidence!
There's no way the materials could have been exactly the same.
But anyway,
or dimensions.
No, it was interesting. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I remember you told me this really hilarious Jeff Koons story. I think was it in Portland?
It was in Portland.
You were working for some guy.
I was working for some guy, a collector. In
Okay.
fact, he was a collector that was very good friends with Andy Warhol,
Oh, well.
Spot, and a number of people, and used to actually go to Hawaii with them and hang out. And
Hmm.
he was sort of a trust fund guy from back in the day and had lots of money, but lived in Portland. And while he was in Portland, he developed this really, really interesting, nice building into his loft. The first floor was storage and his cars. He had a couple cars. And the top floor was an art experience and living experience.
Hmm.
And so I was doing a lot of sort of art prep work for my day gig, working in museums, this, that, and the other. And I got reference to him because he was going to go in and he wanted to rehang the whole space,
Mm-hmm.
do some cleanup, make some changes. Needed some people that could handle art.
Yeah.
I got hired. A couple other guys got hired. We show up and I'm happy to do whatever you need.
Yeah.
And the guy's got a fucking fabulous collection. I mean, fabulous collection. I'm walking in a museum and I found out that the Portland museums were borrowing from him all the time because his collection was better in some respects than theirs on contemporary art.
Okay.
And so it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I saw this stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was really wild to be handling work like this, not in a museum. It was that good.
Like real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real life, take a break, go downstairs, have a cigarette, come back up, and do some work. It was that. And so there was a Jeff Koons piece there, one of his vacuum cleaners, his green vacuum cleaners, that I had seen a photograph of once, never experienced any Jeff Koons work to that point in my life, was a little bit on the fence about his work. I saw, I could see some relevancy to it, but I wasn't like consumed by it.
Yeah.
So anyway, green vacuum cleaner. It's in a plastic box. Boom, boom, boom. And okay, this has got to go downstairs. So we get downstairs. The fucking storage room is now overflowing. So it's like, what do you want to do with this? And he goes, well, this, and this, just put on the sidewalk next to the door. Okay.
Because that's where Jeff Koons' art walk should go.
Well, and it wasn't raining, so it was like, okay, we'll put that there. As soon as we get the spaces clear upstairs, we can bring it back in. Yes, let's do it. So we put it outside. We go upstairs, get everything ready to reinstall it, go downstairs. It's fucking gone. Just the vacuum cleaner, not the box.
Someone went, oh, a vacuum cleaner. I need a vacuum cleaner.
We were living in the Pearl District, and so the Pearl District was a mix of people.
Yeah.
There was people who would see value in a vacuum cleaner for a variety of reasons, not necessarily artistic ones.
Yeah, my floor is dirty.
My floor is dirty.
Here's the vacuum.
But what made it interesting is I still had some interactions with this person into the future, and I was up there probably, I don't know, maybe less than a year later. I was up there doing some hangs with him, and there was a green vacuum cleaner
back in the box,
in a plastic box.
Yeah.
I didn't make any direct reference to it.
Yeah.
But it had the little numbered plate on it.
Hey, yeah, I wanna get back into talking about a bit of your practice. One thing that I've used a lot of different materials, and you use milk casein paint.
Yeah.
How is that made?
Well, it was originated back in the 30s. Okay. And it was actually, I believe, developed in this country. And it was at that point in time when people were developing alternatives to oil.
Okay.
So there was certain properties that people were trying to retain, and certain properties they wanted to distance themselves from. All right. And it was learned that milk was a very interesting vehicle for pigment. Okay. It had a viscosity that was very interesting. It had a dry and cure rate that did certain things that other paints didn't do.
Okay.
And it had properties that oil didn't have. It had properties that the watercolors didn't have. And this is simultaneously pretty much at the same time that acrylics were being developed.
Yeah.
And so it was potentially a competitor to that. And so that's where that part was. And so I was at a crossroads because I had a young kid.
Yeah. Don't want anything toxic.
Yeah. And I was painting in oils.
Yeah.
Don't get more dangerous than that.
Savage.
Ooh, what's that cobalt doing in your bottle?
What's that smell?
Yeah. What's that funny smell? What's that funny taste? So I was distancing myself from oils, and I was in search of, and so I was playing with acrylics, and I didn't like acrylics. I didn't like the plasticity of acrylics.
Because it's essentially like a resin, right? Polymer.
And there was a part of me that was jonesing for the smell of oil.
It's real.
If you painted in it, you know what I'm talking about.
Crack a tube open.
And then I was given some casein to play around with by a friend. And as soon as I opened the tube, it was like, oh, I think I'm going to like this.
It's kind of piney smelling, right?
Oh, it's got a scent to it.
Yeah.
It's got a scent to it. And see, I was the kid who loved to fill up the gas tank for my dad because of the smell, It was like, I was that guy. And so this had a scent to it that I really appreciated.
Yeah.
And then as a paint vehicle, I was astounded by the properties that it contained and how it responded and how it dried and what you could do with it. It just continued to surprise me. And so it was that.
It's water soluble?
It is.
Okay. Are there any other mediums that you can
Yes.
mix into it?
Yeah.
Like
There's
casein
there's a
specific?
there's a casein medium, which is basically a glue
Oh, wow.
that's clear that you can mix into it. You can mix acrylics into it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are.
There's a
I'm
there's
gonna have to take a break, by the way.
yeah. There's an artist that I learned about, I think 2021, 2022, named Ernst Fuchs, and I wanted to buy some of his books, but all of them are pretty expensive. And then recently, I just figured I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. I'm gonna start getting some of the books. And I got them in the mail, and he was using pastels, a lot of watercolor, casing, and he was using oil on top of to glaze all of that stuff, and it made me think of you. And then it made me also want to consider incorporating casing back into my process. Um, there was one thing you told me that I thought was really fascinating is that you can polish casing.
Casein's an amazing thing. Okay. Casein's got properties which mirror concrete in that it cures.
Okay.
And in curing, I mean, you paint it down, you get a very rich color, as you can see. Okay.
Yeah.
No glare, no gloss. It's just
Like
flat,
matte.
pure color. It's like looking at the petal of a flower. You get what you get, you know? And I love that.
Yeah.
I love I love the conversations that color can give when it's just color talking.
Yeah.
I like how you can adjust the tonality, the time, the radiance, the lack thereof, the darkness. And so I love playing with all of that. And it affords that ability. But what I've learned, the more I've painted with it, is more of the properties which happen after. And one of the things that happens after is it begins curing and hardening.
How long does that take?
Well, you can polish it 30 days after you paint,
Okay.
relatively quickly. And I have a whole series of paintings up there which are all polished, and a large one back there. And what it affords you the opportunity to do then is you use like a plastic pad. It's almost like a sponge or something that's got some texture to it, but it's a rubbing texture on the paint. It's not a removal. It's just you're rubbing it. And so you just think in terms of like it's a piece of leather. And so you just want to rub it and massage it and bring out things. And so it gives you that ability. And then the surface in and of itself becomes just amazing tactile experience. After it's done, it is just
So when do you pull that technique out, like we're polishing? Like what are you trying to do whenever you do polish something? Because I feel like on this painting is of a painting of a glass. And in my head I go, oh, you could actually polish the glass so that
you
it's shiny.
actually could. You can
Yeah.
polish the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how the painting speaks to me.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm going to do necessarily. It's something that becomes necessary to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Hmm. What do you don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm curious about what you have coming up and what you're currently working on.
Well, what I'm currently working on is finishing up the juxtaposed diptychs and triptychs that I decided it was a series that was painted back in 23,
Mm-hmm.
the end of 22 and into
Yeah.
23 for the most part. And I revisited them with the intention of looking at past work, and seeing what I felt of it and whether or not I felt it was worth preserving
Mm-hmm.
or actually looking at developing. And with that particular, there was two series in the juxtapose. With that, one was on cork and one was on masonite. I decided, okay, let's see where this goes, reworking these.
Mm-hmm.
And what I decided I wanted to do was a process of elimination. And so I'd go in and sort of with black primer and gesso, I'd begin eliminating things and then seeing how the dialogue was either improved
That's cool.
or fucked.
That's really cool.
And so a lot got eliminated from these images, and they were drilled down and drilled down. And I liked what was happening. I liked the voice that was kind of emerging.
Yeah.
I liked the clarity in it.
Because you can kind of reincorporate your experiences since you've made something and all the information that you've taken in
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
gone,
exactly.
okay, I'm going to step back into this. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, and it afforded me the opportunity to see if there was benefit in anything that I'd learned.
Yeah.
You know, visually, what you learn, you know, and you learn every day visually. As an artist, it's something that you can incorporate if you so choose. And so I was basically practicing what I preach, you know, and I looked at my stuff and it told me this can be better.
Yeah.
See if you can figure out how to make it better. I didn't know how.
Yeah.
That's basically, you got to jump into it with a brush and some whatever and see what happens. And mistakes happen. I've got some blankouts that it just didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't find a solution. So
maybe,
it's like,
maybe 2 years from now, you will find one.
maybe.
Yeah. And you know, one thing that I really, really love about what you do is I think that you really are a great storyteller. And one of the great gifts that I feel like you provide, and I love doing this whenever I've gone to shows of yours, is going up to each piece and just hearing the story behind everything. And I feel like you are, you know, really bold and will say things that people I feel like would normally shy away from. For example, the first thing that comes to mind is nothing over the top, but there was a painting you had done of, I believe it was a girl in a bathroom stall or in a bathroom on the ground. I think there was a tampon on the ground. And
it was a pregnancy test.
Oh, a pregnancy test. And I remember like hearing somebody that was looking at the painting going like, he doesn't have the right to paint that. And I was like in my head going, he is a father. He has a daughter. You know, like you have no.
But see, that developed the story right there. Someone saying that,
Yeah.
that means you've developed a story
Mm-hmm.
because they completed it.
Yeah.
By seeing what they saw and saying what they said. They have actually taken that painting and made a story of it. Okay. That to me is a successful piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I don't care if they say they hate it, that's as good as someone they saying they love it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's I want to provoke. And provocation isn't necessarily a bad word. It's a word. And what it is a stimulant. You know, so.
Do you have any shows lined up?
I've got one, but it doesn't have a date yet. I was given a date and I refused the date.
Yeah.
I was given, last year I did a January show, and I don't do January shows on purpose. I think it's the dead month.
Yeah.
And I did what I consider to be a pretty good series on clowns. It's called The Last Laugh.
Oh.
And it had a tremendous reception. And a lot of, you know, conversation. It went on all night, this, that, and the other. But it didn't promote any sales. And the gallery that I was in was disappointed because they'd gotten sales from my prior shows and stuff. And so it was up Steve's.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so I was like, I don't want to do another January show. And I was offered a January show. And I was like, no. And so it was like, oh, okay, then we'll have to see what shapes up after that. But beyond that, I don't have any shows I've got a number of series that are in the can.
Okay.
I'm ready to do a show. I haven't really mustered the energy to do any attacks on that. I was talking, Vermilion just emailed me yesterday that they want to look at possibly doing some stuff down the road, but that'll be down the road because they got fucking
so much.
Everybody in Seattle's after them. What a space.
Awesome.
You know? But
well, Jen, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this.
Oink.
I appreciate you doing this so much, man.
It was my pleasure. It was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, kind of funny. Yeah, cool.